Hi, this is David with Soggy, Doggy, and we are really excited to tell you about the new line of food that we just brought in called Nature's Logic Distinction. And we've done a lot of research on this food and there are a lot of benefits to it. I want to talk in this video about the top 4 in my book on why we brought it in and also why you should consider feeding it to your dog. The number 1 thing is the ingredient panel for me. It's probably one of the most impressive ingredient panels I've seen on a kibble. Number 2 is no synthetic vitamins. That makes this food very unique. It is the only dry food out there that can tell you that it does not use any synthetic vitamins in the food. The third reason why I like it is that it's meat-based. It has a lot of meat in it. 70% of the bag is meat. And fourth reason is the environmental aspects. This company is very forward-thinking, and I'll go into more detail on some of the steps they take to make sure they're having a positive impact on the environment. Now, when looking at an ingredient panel, there's some things you need to know first. An ingredient panel is set up in terms of proportion. So the first ingredient is the largest proportion of the food before cooking. And as you go down the list, it gets a smaller and smaller proportion of the food. So when I take a look at foods and compare them, I'm taking a look at the first 5 ingredients typically. The reason for that is that's most of the food. Usually after the first 5 or 6 ingredients, it gets down to single digits on proportions, very small amounts of the food. So there's a few things I look at when I look at those first 5. I'll take a look at how much or how many of those ingredients are meat and in what order are those meat or what position are they in. I'll also take a look at what meat substitutes are in the food. Things like peas or legumes tend to be meat substitutes. They make the protein level on the guaranteed analysis look bigger, and it's much cheaper than meat. So a lot of companies will do a lot of peas and legumes. I want to see what order those are in, how many are in there. I also want to take a look at what kind of sugar spikes there might be in the food. Things like potatoes or sweet potatoes or tapiocas are great for binding in dog foods. The problem is a lot of times if there's too many of them, it can create a big sugar spike on the glycemic index. And then what happens is when that sugar spike drops, then the dog is hungry again and wants more food, which isn't really what you want. So when I take a look at Nature's Logic, and keep in mind, this varies from flavor to flavor, but in general, Nature's Logic is fresh meat as the first ingredient, meat meal as the second ingredient, and that's fresh meat that's been cooked down to a powder form. Then there's millet, and millet is a very low sugar grain, and it's a great ingredient, I believe, in this food for Nature's Logic. And then you get fat, and fat is a good thing. Sometimes people hear about fat being high up in the ingredient list and they get nervous because everything they hear about for people. With dogs, they are designed to use protein as building blocks for the body, and then they use fat as their energy. So that's their fuel tank. So having some fat in there is a good thing. Overall, Nature's Logic ingredient panel is fantastic. It has lots of meat and very little of the stuff that you don't want. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about how Nature's Logic has no synthetic vitamins, which is a very unique thing to the pet food industry. It is the only kibble that I know of that does not have synthetic vitamins. And the way they do that is by designing their food around whole food ingredients. They make sure that all the ingredients that they have in there cover all the vitamins and minerals naturally that your dog needs. Now, this also speaks to the ingredient panel that we just spoke about. I highly encourage you to go and read the ingredients of Nature's Logic. I think you'll be very impressed. Everything is pronounceable because it's whole foods. The only things that are difficult to pronounce on there are the probiotics and the digestive enzymes, which, I'm sorry, I can't help you on scientific names. Those are just going to be harder to say. We also talked about how it's a meat-based diet. And that's important because that's what dogs are designed to eat. They are carnivores. However, a lot of dog foods out there, they don't have a lot of meat in their food. They'll use meat substitutes or fillers, things like that, to make it so they can get the costs down and maximize their profits. Nature's Logic is designed around how a dog should eat. It has meat in fresh format and meal. It also has animal fats, it has plasma in there, everything you would want in a dog food. What it doesn't have in it are things like peas and legumes and potatoes and tubers. These things are used by dog food companies to, in some cases, substitute the meat, get the protein level up on the guaranteed analysis. Sometimes they're used as binders, but the problem with a lot of the things like sweet potatoes and potatoes, they can cause a sugar spike. And then an hour later after eating the food, your dog's still hungry. I'd also like to talk to you about the environmental aspects of Nature's Logic. They have worked very hard to become plastic neutral. And the way they have done that is with this distinction line, they have reduced the amount of plastic necessary to make the bags. And then they've worked with an organization called freetheocean.com, which goes out and removes plastic from the ocean. And through their work with freetheocean.com, they've been able to offset the plastic that they do use and become plastic neutral, which is huge. The other thing that is very good about their company is that they are very big proponents of renewable energy, and they're working towards getting both their corporate and manufacturing all towards 100% renewable energy. I hope that this information has been helpful to you. I have put this together based off my years of experience in the research that I've done. I don't represent Nature's Logic. This is just how I feel about the way they've put their foods together and how I've learned over the years that these can help your pet. We carry Nature's Logic in the dry food, in the canned food, and we also carry it in the treats. We have the beef lung and we have the bites as well. You can order them online and we can deliver them if you live around one of our stores. You can also come in and buy them. And this wouldn't be a YouTube video if I didn't also say, please subscribe to our channel and please hit the like button. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them for you. And I might have some links in there as well for more information.